If speaking up is feeling like the thing that keeps ending your relationships, you're not crazy. Things feel okay until you say something, you ask a question, you bring up a concern, and then the energy changes. Suddenly there's tension, distance, and you're left wondering if you should have just kept it to yourself. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with the mindset that makes asking these hard questions possible, even when you don't know how the answer is going to change things. But there's a part of this that most women don't see in the moment. What happens after the conversation is actually what keeps them stuck. Because once you notice that bringing things up changes the dynamic, a new fear sets in. Not fear of the conversation, fear of what you'll have to do if you get an honest answer. You hesitate because you know the answer might force you into a decision that you're not ready to make. So how do you get to a place where you're not afraid of the answer? Before you can get there, you have to be honest about what staying quiet is actually doing. Because the problem isn't the conversation. The problem is what it costs you when you avoid it. This is how weeks turn into months and months turn into years. Not because you didn't know that something was off, but because you avoided acknowledging it. And let's be clear about this part. This isn't patience. This is denial. You were taught to read discomfort as danger. If the energy changes, we assume we did something wrong. If someone pulls back, we assume that we pushed too hard. We start learning that staying connected means staying quiet. You sometimes see this show up really clearly in dating language. I can't tell you how many times I hear men say or see it on dating apps that they're looking for someone peaceful, someone easygoing, no drama. And on the surface, I know that sounds healthy. Of course, everyone wants peace. But when you've lived this long enough, you start to realize what that actually means in practice. It means someone who won't ask too many questions, someone who won't disrupt the comfort of the dynamic, someone who will absorb discomfort instead of calling it out. Peace in that context isn't emotional safety. It's emotional silence. And if you're someone who notices things, who feels things, who speaks up when something feels off, you were never going to fit into that version of peace anyway. Because when you don't ask the questions, you are making a choice. You're choosing to keep the relationship going without finding out if it can actually give you what you want. And that's how you end up forcing something that was never meant to last. Not forcing the other person, forcing yourself. You start losing sight of what you wanted from a relationship. You change parts of yourself to keep it going. You accept things that don't actually sit right with you. And the relationship only works because you're not being fully honest with him or with yourself. And once you reach this point, you're no longer staying because it feels right. You're staying because you've already stayed this long. This is how months turn into years. What actually changes isn't how you feel. It's what you're willing to take responsibility for. At some point, you stop framing this as something that's happening to you, and you start seeing it as something that you are participating in. You realize that every day that you don't ask, you're still choosing the relationship exactly as it is. You're choosing uncertainty. You're choosing the version of him you already have. You're choosing to keep moving forward without answers. And once you really see that, once you realize that staying quiet is a decision, the question changes. It's no longer, what if this ends things? It becomes, how much more of my life am I willing to spend not knowing? Not asking is what lets you stay. And that's the part that most people don't want to face. And here's a part that I know makes people uncomfortable. There are men who will stay in relationships that they know aren't going anywhere. They're not unsure. They'll stay because it works for them. They get companionship, they get sex, they get emotional support, they get someone showing up for them, and they'll let you stay. They will let you give years of your life to something that they already know they are not going to move forward with. Your time, your energy, your childbearing years. These men will run the clock out on you. These are the same men that will talk shit and say things about single women in their 40s being bitter, as if they didn't directly benefit from women staying too long in relationships that were never going anywhere. And that's why trusting yourself matters so much. Because the fear of asking the hard questions isn't really about the question. It's about what happens when you finally stop pretending that you don't already know the answer. Once you stop doubting yourself, you can't stay the same. This is where accountability comes in. This is your life, your time. Whether you stay or walk away isn't just something that happens to you. It's a decision that you make. No one can waste your time without your participation. And I don't say that to shame you. We've all been there. I say it because this is the moment that you get your power back. And there's one thing you need to stop getting stuck here. You have to be willing to walk away. That doesn't mean that you want the relationship to end. It means that you're not so afraid of losing it that you abandon yourself to keep it. You avoid conversations because you're afraid of what having them might confirm. And at that point, you're no longer choosing the relationship, you're just staying in it. But when you know that you will be okay even if the relationship ends, asking doesn't feel scary anymore. It just feels like information. Information you need so you can move forward, one way or the other. No one plans to waste their life. It happens when you keep avoiding the questions that would have given you clarity, and you keep moving forward without it. And this is where people usually start to push back. They'll say that this kind of thinking is poisoning women. It's making them afraid of commitment. It's keeping women single. But awareness doesn't keep women single. It keeps them from wasting too much time with the wrong person. Awareness isn't poison. Staying in denial is. Because nobody walks away from a good man. You walk away from the version of someone that you hoped he would become, but he didn't. And holding on to potential doesn't make a relationship real. It makes it harder to leave when reality finally catches up. This isn't about walking away from good relationships. It's about trusting yourself enough to stop explaining things away and stop wasting time trying to make things work that keep asking you to be less of yourself. This is actually something I spend a lot of time helping women see in my coaching practice. The difference between a relationship that needs a conversation and one that only survives if you stay quiet. So here's the truth. Speaking up isn't what ends relationships. It shows you whether the relationship can survive you being fully present in it. When you're willing to ask the questions and you're willing to walk away if the answers don't align, you stop getting stuck. If you want more help building this mindset and strengthening trust with yourself, I'll link my free Single Girl Rulebook in the description. Whether you're single or in a relationship, it's designed to help you to stop abandoning yourself just so you can keep something going. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, don't stay in something that only works if you stay silent.